we still need mom to validate our clothes. We need her to validate our big
Decisions.
decisions. We need to validate how we're raising our kids. Like emotional independence is something that is all encompassing on all aspects of life, right? Hey everyone, welcome back to Love SND. Today we are coming in with a hot topic, independence. No, not Independence Day like fireworks and flags, but real life, everyday independence. The kind that shows up when you buy your own coffee and your own house, when you say no without guilt, when you're not afraid to think differently, even if it's making Diwali or Christmas awkward. We are breaking it down today. We're talking about financial independence, emotional, social, and yes, intellectual independence. When we found it, how we're still chasing it, and why it matters at every stage in life. Okay, so Neen, let's
Hmm.
start with money. Do you remember the first time you felt financially independent?
Yeah, when I got my first nursing job. So when Neil and I got married, Neil actually didn't have a job, if you guys remember.
I do remember.
Yeah. So I was the breadwinner in our relationship. We were living in the studio apartment in Philly. I was working full time as a nurse, and he was hustling, trying to do what he wanted to do. And I remember thinking, like, that's pretty cool that I'm running this relationship right now.
Mm,
You know, I'm the reason we can afford rent. I'm the reason that we can afford food. Like, and that I think is a sense of financial freedom when you can stand on your own 2 feet and say, I can support myself and my kids if I needed to. So I
yeah.
think that's when I felt it.
Sheen, when did you feel it?
I think I'm going to start by saying, for those that don't know us, we are three girls who are very spoiled.
Mm,
Our
Yes.
parents never said no to us. They were
yeah.
very, very generous growing up. So we never felt that need. At least, like, I never felt like I need to have that financial independence for myself because I just never felt like there was ever a lack or I was never needing it. Obviously, similar to Nina, out of college when I got my first job and my first paycheck it was cool, it was great, but I was like, okay, like it just felt like an extension of what my life has always been. Like it didn't feel any different. And then I got married very quickly after college, so it kind of just all mashed together. It was almost like I was still mom and dad's baby, but I was like now married with a husband who like, he has his own income and like now I'm working and we're trying to build this like joint income family, but like I'm still mom and dad's child. Like there was a
Yeah.
lot of gray there. It wasn't
Yeah.
very black and white. And so I remember times when Sammy was like, are you seriously still taking money from your mom and dad? But I'm like,
Yeah.
it literally doesn't even feel different to me. It's just like an extension of life. And we were still young.
Yeah. I think I feel the same way as you, Sheen. I don't think that I never felt financially independent. And maybe it was just the product of our upbringing. But when I married Such, he's extremely financially independent in that he will not take a dollar from his parents. So if they ever give us money, it goes straight into the kids' funds. We don't use any of it. But I think that again, even I think I've learned just by being married to Such how to be more money conscious. And so, I don't think that being financially independent is necessarily all about just being able to make your own money, but it's also about managing your money, budgeting, having a rainy day account. This is all because of what Such has taught me. It's not dad and mom never ever went through anything like that with us. We never talked about budgeting. So I think that even being able to talk about those numbers and we're in the process of doing some renovation and having those conversations with Such like, okay, this is the amount of money we have in our bank account and this is how much we're going to have to pull out of savings and all these things. Like, those conversations make me feel financially independent as opposed to me just earning my paycheck.
Yeah. Well, okay. So a couple of things, right? So mom and dad were beyond generous when we were
Yeah.
growing up. but they still were very, very, very much like live a humble life, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Never wore designer brands. Mom never owned a designer bag till like we
In
were
her
in our
60s.
30s. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were old enough to be like, okay, mom, it's a high time that you get something for
I
yourself.
think we probably did buy her first designer bag. She never
Probably.
bought
Yeah.
it for herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
like, even, okay, fine. So, we grew up 100% privileged. You know, we had access to food and clothing and opportunities and experiences, like going to all the Indian concerts, because mom and dad were more about that experiential spending than they were
Yeah.
about, you know, superficial spending,
Yeah.
which I think rubbed off most on me probably at that time. So, when dad was like, okay, now it wasn't like, okay, girls, go get a job. Whereas
Yeah.
Neil's been like telling the girls, okay, go get a job. I'm like, they're not even old enough. Like, they can't do that legally yet.
Yeah.
But they were never like, go get a job. But for me, it was like, Dad, how can I volunteer at your clinic? I was always seeking that independence. Like, I wanted to know what it was like to just be able to do it on your own. Whereas I don't know if you guys ever felt that way.
Yeah, I mean, for me at least, when you guys were in college and I was in high school, I had to get a job. My dad forced me to get a job, not to earn anything because I didn't earn anything. I was
Right.
like 16 years old, so I wasn't even allowed to work really. But he made me work at his friend's law firm because he was like, not for money. He wanted me to get that experience,
Yeah.
just be out in the world. And to them, I think they just focused more on that. Like I think they realized they were raising three girls. We didn't have a brother to like, be the vaid name or be our protector, right? We had to do
Yeah.
it ourselves and we did it for each other. So for him, I think the whole time it was go out in the world and experience it because we're not going to be holding your hand the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with Neen though. Like they definitely didn't spoil us to the point where we were reckless with money.
Yeah.
I remember in college, I wanted to spend money on like new clothes every time I went out or like, you know, designer sunglasses when I knew mom and dad would definitely not be giving me money for that. They're like, you get money for books and food and like
Yeah.
a little extra to go out. So I remember getting a job in like the local computer lab just so I can buy myself clothes and like designer sunglasses that I wanted so mom and dad would never find out.
Yeah.
So like they did definitely kept us humble, but like also that taught us too, right? Like how to be smart with money
Yeah.
instead of just
Yeah.
like recklessly spending. There are many people that have like no limits and no boundaries, but I think they
Yeah.
taught us well how to financially manage our money and then also be mindful, which we are then able to like bring into our marriages. Again, I am far from mindful when it comes to spending, especially with Sammy. I'm like, what do you mean I have a budget? What does that even look like? Like, what?
Oh my
I feel
God.
like I've never heard that word. Can you
I-
define it for me?
I was
Use
like,
it in a sentence.
I was like, excuse me. He's like, this might be a rough year, so maybe you want to not buy an extra chandelier. I'm like, what?
No, I think each one of us have had to have gone through that shock of like being told no
Yeah.
about spending money that mom and dad would have been like, whatever,
Go
like
ahead
here.
and get it.
YOLO,
Yeah.
I think Neil tried to make me do an Excel sheet. He's like,
Oh, yeah.
Sammy and Sachin do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's nice. I'm like, I cannot put expenses in a Excel sheet. I don't even know. I don't even understand this.
Just so you know, Sammy and Sachin do it, but at least for me, I do not contribute to it
Me neither.
one bit. And so
Me
I
neither.
think eventually Sammy just stopped because
Yeah.
he's like, put the grocery expenses for the week. I'm like, no. Literally, I'm not doing that. This was
I
at the
did not
beginning, and
understand
then he
this.
just gave up. He's like,
Yeah.
forget it.
Such
Yeah.
a same
So
exact story here.
complicated.
It was like, what? I get it. That's how they were raised. That's how they're organized. That's how they like
Yeah.
keep
I mean,
track.
it's
but
great.
It
It's
is
great,
great. It's
but-
great, but it has to be a habit, right? Like
Yeah.
even now, I'm just like, he's like, what were these expenses this month? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, go through the credit card bill. Just regular stuff.
Don't worry. One day we're going to have glasses that we can rewind and like recheck all this stuff. So
I know.
good.
I know.
You know
He's-
what I think is interesting is that our parents think that financial independence, and I've had this conversation with both of them, their idea still till this day of financial independence is something like buying property, right? Like being able to buy your own house. And for some it's being able to buy a big house, right? But when we have those conversations amongst ourselves, the independence is really not being able to buy the house. It's more of like time, right? Like you now have freedom of time. Like you earn that money and now you have the freedom of time to be able to spend with your children or to be able to spend traveling or whatever, right?
Like
To then
outsourcing what takes up your time that you don't want to do.
Hmm.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I think
Like when you
Nina,
wanted a house manager.
yes. That's exactly when.
Did you ever get one?
I didn't. She was supposed to start with my friend and then like just didn't show up twice.
Hmm.
I was
Oh,
like, this is
you're
why.
not doing a good job managing there, buddy.
Yeah.
But like I think Neen, when we talked about, I remember when mom was like bugging out about you buying the small house, and to you it was like the big house does not define my success.
So I think this is where more of that intellectual independence comes into play. So for us, it wasn't important to have this sprawling house that's on an acre of land. For us, we wanted the community. We wanted the kids to be on a block where everybody's running around in the summer. And then we wanted to take that money that we've earned and use it for travel. I mean,
Yeah.
let's just be honest. We love to travel with the girls. And so we find that you build or they are building their intellectual independence through travel. So we take them to places around the world and they get to see these people and try different foods, experience different cultures. And that's where we want to spend our money. In our parents' generation, they were coming with what pennies in their pocket is the
Yeah.
story. And they had to build ground up. And so
Yeah.
that mark of financial freedom was having this estate and having this presentation of a home. And for me, Neil and the girls, we feel our home is sufficient. It gives us everything we want. It's beautiful, it's ours. And we can take that money and then use it towards different things like travel and experiences and that sort of world of possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like in this day and age, intellectual independence, where everybody is forced to almost pick a side and say it even louder and not necessarily listen. I think that intellectual independence is being able to differ, right? Whether it's with your peer or your parents or your kids, right? Or your siblings. But also it's just being open, right? Being open to change and it's
Perspectives.
right perspectives.
Yeah.
It is a really really hard thing to do. And
Yeah.
Sheen, you're a strong personality. You are resolute in who you are and you know what your family unit looks like and does on a daily basis. So how do you think that you've managed to practice intellectual independence?
So I think for me, at least, like I said, got married young. My intellectual intelligence became one with Sammy's almost kind of. So it was like a joint intelligence at that point because we grew up in a big house, like we grew up in a giant house, so it was never important to me to have this gigantic house like as it was to someone like Sammy who grew up in a smaller home. His dream was always to be like, I want a 3-car garage,
Yep.
like
Damn,
for
Such says
us
the same
for
thing.
us I'm like, I grew up with a three, so it was never, we were never on that
Yeah.
same plane as far as like what was important to us, but it was a compromise. It was like, okay, well, these things are important to you and then these things are important to me. Let's come to a compromise. So for us, like to spend money, again, Sammy and I spend money very, very differently. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's, as much as he loves like this big house, he also loves experiences. Whereas that's where he likes to spend his money. Whereas I'm like, okay, like I don't necessarily need to be like doing all these crazy things, but I would love like an Hermes Birkin, but like really not. But really not. But you know what I mean? Like we just
Yeah.
spend
Really
differently.
so.
We just spend differently. Like I see like jewelry and bags as investments, where he's like, I see these memories as investments, which I get. So
Yeah.
we do both. And like, and we do it in like, a very fair and middle ground way. So I think it's like it's been for us as a unit, it's been a growing experience.
Yeah.
I just want to add that when you're thinking about intellectual independence, I have such a recent experience with Naya. At school, they asked the class, she's eighth grade for reference, almost going to be 14. And so now you're thinking about a group of 14-year-old kids in an affluent suburban neighborhood. The teacher says, who feels uncomfortable when they hear somebody with an accent? And she said, Mommy, I was the only one that didn't raise my hand. So that just goes to show that if you are not able to even want to learn about somebody else and how they see things and how what their life story and life journey is, how do you navigate this so-called life, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
understand that everybody's perspective is not your perspective, and that's okay. And you should be strong in who you are, but also willing to accept and understand other people's perspectives.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
think that also comes from how they're raised, right? Like they're raised like that. We feel that way too. Like we feel like everybody has their own voice and in which way they
Yeah.
want, and it's the fair thing to do is let everybody have a chance to be heard. And I think that's how we raise our children, and that's why they are the way they are. Whereas not every kid is raised that way, and that's fine. I mean, to each his own, but I think
Yeah.
that's where we come from. So thankfully, we pass those values.
I think that each one of us, though, does struggle a little bit. Maybe not as much Sheena as me and Nina, but just being able to disagree with the parents or with family respectfully, right? Like, I know that, and literally this just happened last weekend, but I know that when I disagree with in-laws or parents, I'm not able to communicate that, right? I don't have that independence where I can just be like, listen, I can't agree with you. This is not what I want to do. I'm not going to listen today. And so Sheena, of course, will fight my battles, but and I'll give an example. We were just at a dinner and our in-laws wanted me to take leftovers, and we it's not something we do. We don't like to feed the kids leftovers. We took them for ourselves, and we did take enough for just me and such, and then we took a little bit for the kids, but there was like a whole like thing of idli, and my mother-in-law was like, "Oh, the kids love idli, just take them." And I'm like, "You know what? We can actually just go to the Indian store and get like mix and make idli ourselves. So like we don't need to take leftover idli." And they were like dense and hard. And I was like, I just don't want to. And she kept pushing me, and I kept saying no. And then it just like turned into a thing. So I didn't deal with it. I wasn't able to say anything. And so I like, of course, texted Sheena and I was like, this is what happened.
I was like, Mom. Okay, bye. Again, I'm going to go back to we talked about this before. I think it's about delivery. I said the
Yeah.
same thing you said, but I think we say it very differently. Same thing with Nina. Like you guys have a little bit of a harder time with delivery,
Yeah.
whereas I can say it, and this is just this is how we are, right? It's not like
Yeah.
a good thing or bad thing. I think that the way I say it and the words I use, which is what I've learned from mom, just being around her in the business for so
Yeah.
long, it's about how you say it and the way you say it versus what you're saying. Because
Yeah.
we're all saying the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she understood right away. No
Yeah.
problem.
Well, also, you just have a different
Yeah, I know.
relationship.
And then again, same thing with all three of us. The other person has a different relationship with each of us. So when I say something versus when you say something, like the way that they receive it is so different based on how they know our relationship is or how they view
Yeah.
me versus how they view you.
Yeah. I think that's a good segue into emotional independence, right? Because there is this, I think it's human nature for everyone to need some sort of validation in life. It doesn't have to be big and loud, but there is this good job. You did great. And we're all seeking that, whether it's from mom, which we can even get into that, right? Like we all still at the age of 45, 44, and 40 still need mom to
43.
okay.
44. I'm 44 still.
All
Chill.
right.
Chill.
Enough. We still need mom to validate our clothes. We need her to validate our big
Decisions.
decisions. We need to validate how we're raising our kids. Like emotional independence is something that is all encompassing on all aspects of life, right?
I think we're also always craving that from our spouse, from our
Mm,
kids, from each other, from our friends, from our bosses. It's just
yeah.
nonstop. So where do you find that line of I'm stable in my worldview and emotional output that it's okay if you feel a little bit bad because I'm okay with this, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think you've been tackling emotional independence? Because for me, I started reading a book and it's called Let Them. And I think that just trying to practice that, like let them think what they think and act the way they act, I think it's almost like the first step. Like I've taken a step towards gaining some sort of emotional independence, but it is a battle, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I think out of the three of us, and like not to toot my own horn, I just think this is again how I am. Like, I think I'm probably the most emotionally independent because I don't take as many things to heart. Like I'm just a little colder of a personality, and I'm like able to just like let it slide off my shoulder. And I'm like, okay, you do you. I'm gonna do me. Like, you don't like the way I do this? That's cool. You don't need to watch or, that kind of
Are
thing. But
you
not saying that I don't crave it at times. Like, of course I do. Like the amount of joy I get when someone loves like jewelry that I post. Come on. It's like
Sure.
I love that. I love that. I crave that. I definitely do appreciate that. But like,
That's so funny that because you're basically saying you're emotionally attached to your business, which we had this conversation yesterday, right? Like for mom, when you
mhm,
ask her like, "Hey, are we starting to sell 18 karat gold instead of 22 karat gold?"
yeah.
To her, it was like, this is a business decision. Like,
Yeah.
yes, we have an
Yeah, yeah,
emotional
yeah.
attachment to being like the 22 karat gold and diamond jewelry store, but if
Move with the
to
times.
move with the times, if you have to sell
Mhm.
18, then that's a business decision you have to make.
Yeah.
And so even that, like for you to have this emotional attachment to like people just liking your stuff, that's like something you also have to work towards, right? Like becoming emotionally independent
Yeah.
of people's opinions on what you're selling, which in a business, how do you even do that?
No, it's not, I don't mind when somebody doesn't like it. It doesn't phase me. But when somebody does like it, I really do
Mm,
appreciate it. Like, I do really, I'm very like receiving and accepting of that feedback. But if someone's like, that's not my thing, I'm like, okay, bye, like that. Like, I'm
mm.
not like devastated, like, oh my God, I can't believe that you didn't like this design kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like even with like mom, again, I'm gonna go back to delivery, right? Like I could show her the same outfit that Nina will show her, and she will have two completely different reactions.
Yeah.
And it's just wild. It's wild to me, but I'm like, is it the way I'm saying it? Is it just what she like? Does she think that I'm gonna come at her like a wrecking ball if she says what she says to Nina to me? Like it I don't know what it is. It's like it's the most bizarre thing to me.
I think that in that way, like what you're saying, that
Mhm.
I had to cut some of those cords for myself. So
Yeah.
I no longer ask,
Yeah.
can I wear this? I just
But
show up and deal
Yeah,
with it,
but
except
but
for that damn Gerba. Because Sheena told me, oh, everybody's gonna be mad simple. Nobody's dressing up. So I show up to mom's house, mad simple, not dressed up. And she's like, go home and change.
literally, she was
Literally
like,
sent
she
my
said,
butt home to
to
go
change.
change. That was not cool.
and me and dad were just sitting there like, holy shit, we're in like World War V right now.
But I think that had the roles been reversed and it was me, she would not have made me do that.
No, no, she would have. It was a
I
bad
don't think
outfit,
so.
Sheen. No, it was bad. No, it wasn't. I mean, not an ugly outfit. It was like
Very
very,
simple.
very simple. It was
Yeah.
like
And when
like,
I talked to
yeah.
Sheena at 9 a.m. that day, she goes, be very,
I didn't
very
say be
simple.
very simple. I said don't go
Nobody's
over the
dressing up.
top. I said the same
Totally
thing
over
to
the
both of you, and both of you showed up very differently. Just so you know.
I took it literally. That's what I do. Remember, no fluff in my game. Zero.
And I sent a picture of what I was wearing for reference.
I mean, literally, we have no emotional independence from mom.
None.
Just put it out there.
Yeah,
Don't
forget
don't
None.
pretend like
Give
you
up.
do.
No, I mean every little thing. Like even until now, like what I've been taking over this business for like 2.5 years. I still ask her. I'm like, Mom, how should I price this? She's like, Are you serious right now?
I mean, Dip will also call her and be like, I'm having a party. What should I serve?
Yeah, 100%.
How
Yeah.
much
I'll
should I
call her
order?
like I know how to make things, but I'll still because like the emotional attachment I have with just us being in the kitchen together for so many years when like we had all those people living with us, just just cooking. I'll be like, "Wait, do I put rye or jiru or both?" And she'll be like, "Put whatever you want. Like just put it in the freaking pot." But it's still like there's this attachment.
I
Are
think
you
actually
guys
Nina's the least now.
Because
I
I'm
think
to
her.
mom?
she's
Because
like,
I'm her.
yeah.
I'm also
Also,
her. So half of what I think is what she thinks. And so it's fine.
I don't think you have much of a choice either to start cutting those cords because you live so close to her that if you took every single one of her opinions to heart, you would never make it
Make
out
it.
alive.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
And you also have to raise three girls differently from the way she raised her three girls, right? Because she doesn't want you to do it the way she did it. She wants these three girls to be very different from us,
Yeah.
even though
Why?
we're perfect.
What the
Huh?
heck? Why?
Well, I also like have had to have many conversations with her that you need to let the girls move with the times. I don't know if I've brought up the bathing suit conversation we had to have with them in Africa. So she was saying something about not that they wore their two pieces because Naya and Eva now being teens want two-piece bathing suits, fine. So she was like, absolutely not. Like, that's ridiculous. And I'm like, well, if we don't let them, they're just going to do it behind our backs. So I rather them just be comfortable in their own bodies. Like, we all grew up with complexes. Like, you had to wear shorts and then you had to wear dad's t shirt over your one piece bathing suit. Or, like, and then that's how we went to the beach because God forbid the sun hit us and we got some vitamin D.
Yeah.
So then it's kind of like undoing some of that, but in a way that it makes sense. So I was like, Mom, like what's the big deal? It's not just because they wear something, it doesn't define who they are. And that turned into this whole thing because my mother-in-law was there, mom was there, my sister-in-law was there, I was there. I was like, oh my God, I'm creating chaos. I'm creating chaos.
But that's
But at the end, she
also,
understood, I
but
think.
also sometimes you need to just pick your battles. Like, let them wear the one piece with around in-laws.
Well, that's the rule. Like they're
Yeah.
not allowed to wear their two pieces in front of family.
Yeah.
And when they're with their friends,
Yeah.
it's fine.
I think
And we
that's
have
right.
those rules, and the girls know those rules. But
Yeah.
mom, in her brain, just can't wrap her mind around the fact that I would even buy it. You know how things go in our house.
Oh.
It's like I can't believe you even did
We
that.
wore
Like I
two
can't believe
pieces.
you even let them do this and that and the other. I'm like,
I never wore a two-piece. Are you crazy?
I used to wear two pieces, but in college, like
Yeah.
not
on,
around
On like on trips,
vacations
but
and
not
stuff.
yeah.
Not
Yeah,
never
no.
with like parents or. I
Yeah.
mean, that was just all out of respect, right? Like it wasn't like that's how we were raised. That's how we're gonna raise our
right.
girls.
But
Like
okay,
it's
so
just
like take that back a level. Just
Yeah.
because you wear a two-piece doesn't mean you're being disrespectful.
not at all, not at all. But I think that that's like same thing with like our period and not going to the mandir. Like it's just literally ingrained in our brain. Like, would you ever step foot in the mandir with your period? Maybe you'll let your girls because like you truly believe like okay, it's fine. But at this point in my life, I can't do it. Even if
I
I
can't do
think
it
in my
either.
mind
Same.
it's if no matter how many times I tell myself it's fine, like it's natural, it's part of your body, you're a woman, but my feet won't go. You know what
I know.
mean?
Yeah.
So
But also,
it-
Sheen, you also sometimes use it as an excuse. Let's be serious.
Stop it. Stop. I've never used it ever. God, I swear to God, I've never used it as an excuse.
I'm kidding.
I think about it, but I don't.
Wait, but your friend had a whole thought about
She
this,
had a
right? She
whole
like lost
thought.
her mind.
She was like, "What are you doing in this day and age? Like that is not how. Like that's not the mentality of in our culture and this and that." I'm like, I get it. I completely understand where you're coming from. I don't know that necessarily Nina and Dipti will raise their girls to be the same way, but for me, Like I can't ever switch that in my brain. It'll just never
Yeah.
happen. Like it's just how I was raised and that's how what we were taught and that's fine. Like that's how she was raised, you
Yeah.
know?
You know, that's so crazy because I do these Friday pujas, and then when we like ujao the Friday pujas, we invite these girls to like be part of it. And the last time I did it, I remember sending a text out and like I just sent it out without even thinking. But I was like, can your daughter come? If so, like just make sure she doesn't have her period, and this is the time and place that she needs to come. And like I don't actually even know that I would care.
Care.
Like
Right.
it's not even
Yeah.
my business. Like first it's on them, right? If they
Yeah.
believe that. But
Yeah.
why am I gonna turn someone away? It's a very hard thing to forget. It's
it
a really
really
hard
is.
thing to unlearn. And that's so much of this like
Yeah.
emotional independence that we have to like gain.
Yeah.
Let's talk social independence. Are you guys comfortable going out to dinner by yourself? Just you?
Mm-hmm.
Love it. It's so good.
Really?
I uh yes, I am. Like when I went to London, I did all the things by myself because I was by myself.
Yeah.
Here, I don't know, like it's just so different when you're home versus vacation. Like if
Yeah,
you're home, you're home. Like
Yeah.
there's
Like,
no
do you even
going
get
out.
the opportunity? Yeah.
Like I'd go with the kids or Sammy or
Yeah.
the family
Are you
versus by
are you
myself.
okay going out to like a party or to a get together or doing anything like just being out and about by yourself?
Yeah, 100%. I know that there are people and I have friends that like don't like to show up at a party by themselves. So they'll always like, piggyback a car or like a carpool or just like coordinate timing. Whereas I'm happy to walk in and out by myself. Like I almost prefer it because I have that independence of coming and going when I want.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm 100% comfortable in doing that.
Yeah. I definitely I think I have so much emotional attachment to such that then it like translates into social attachment as well. So like when I go out, I prefer to go with him. Like I don't necessarily like doing things without him or like like you guys or a close friend. But I have to say I have been working towards getting independent in like going shopping by myself or going to get groceries by myself or doing things that I haven't in the past been okay just
Wait,
handling
you
by
and Such
myself.
would shop
Yeah, I was
groceries
like,
together?
No,
groceries?
he goes grocery shopping because I hate going grocery
Like,
shopping.
what did you do in college?
I went by myself. I mean, I can't say that I loved doing it. But now like every Tuesday, everybody's out of the house. Everybody goes to school, such goes to the office, and I have the whole house to myself and it's literally my favorite day of the week because I finally just get time to just be and like be in my own thoughts and do whatever I want to do and not have to rely on someone or take care of someone or entertain someone else's attachments, you know? I imagine Nina's very socially independent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually told Sheen, I was like, I love going to lunch by myself or dinner by myself or for a drink by myself. Not like wasted or anything, but
Yeah,
like
just like a drink.
and then one time
Yeah.
I told you to do it when you were going to the city and you're like, what am I going to do? Who am I going to hang out with before I have to meet up for dinner? And I was like, just go somewhere and people watch and have a drink. And you were
So
like, this
fun.
was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So there's like a local spot that I'm obsessed with, and I'll go have lunch if nobody else can join me because I just think like you're your own best friend, so you should get to know yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest thing that makes you feel comfortable being socially independent? Because, and I ask this because I feel like one out of my three is not.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice would I give her to be like, hey, it's fine. Just you do you.
I
Be you.
think I think that there is a distinction, right? There's a distinction between being independent and isolating yourself. So like you can be strong on your own in your own skin, but you still want a connection with people, right? Like you still crave connection. So there's that difference. I think I think I know which one of the three you're talking about, but just because she loves having these connections with people doesn't necessarily mean she's socially dependent on them. Because I think aside from that, she is a very strong person, a very strong personality, and she doesn't necessarily need people to validate her all the time. At least I don't think that from
Yeah.
what I see, because she fights back hardcore. Like
Yeah.
she's not, she doesn't just kind of succumb to other people's opinions.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's also confidence.
Hmm.
Just being confident in yourself, right? So like having that confidence to be like, I love myself, like you said, right? You're your own self's best friend. Like I love myself. I know what I bring to the table. I know what I add to a relationship. So it's either you love me for who I am or I don't need you in my life kind of thing. But also agree with Dip,
It's like
like
Sheena's life
literally,
motto.
I'm
Life
just
motto.
Literally.
literally
You're
like
either my people or you ain't. Bye.
that's probably what makes me so unapproachable in life. Like she's not ready
Yeah.
for a relationship. Let's just move on.
I know.
But like for example, like all you guys know this, all three of the boys are so wildly different in their social independence. Like,
Mm,
where one is like super social, the other is like a complete homebody, and then one's like kind of in the middle. Like I'll hang out with you if I'm feeling it, or I'll skip it if I'm feeling it. You know what I mean? And then
yeah.
so it's like I think it's just a personality thing. It's kind of just know your worth, like I do.
Hmm. Well, that is a wrap on independence, the financial kind, the emotional kind, the social kind, and the thinking for yourself kind. We are obviously all still figuring it out, especially when it comes to mom. But one bank account, one boundary, one bold opinion at a time. If today's conversation made you nod along, we'd love to hear from you. Leave us a comment, leave us a DM, leave us whatever you do to communicate with us. But make sure that you review, you subscribe, you do all the wonderful things all you lovely people do to support your girls. And we will see you next time. Till then, stay smart, stay strong, and stay independent. With love, S&D.
Bye.
Bye.